Alright, I'm back again with part 2 of this 2-part video series. This is more or less a history lesson on Shem and identifying who his descendants are in the world today and which race of people are the Shemites. Shem and his offspring, and we're going to take a look again at the last verse we read from chapter 89 of the book of Enoch. We left off in verse 9 where it said, "But that white bull, who is Noah, which had become a man, came out of that vessel." That vessel is the ark. "And the 3 bulls with him." These 3 bulls are his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And one of those 3 was white like that bull. In other words, one of those 3 bulls looked like Noah. And one of them was red as blood, and one was black. So we know that the black bull is none other than Ham. And we're going to identify the red one. And by identifying who that red bull is, we should be able to easily identify who the white bull is as far as Shem and Japheth go. So with that being said, let's go back. And let's take a look. And we're going to take a look at who the descendants of Shem are. And they happen to be none other than what we call Indians, the native peoples of the Americas, or what some call Native Americans. And it's a giveaway. If you take a look at the logo, here you have an Indian and the name of the city of that sports team from Washington, D.C. And the name of the team are the Redskins. Get it? It's hidden in plain sight. Red skins, red skin. And we just read from our last verse from the book of Enoch, it described one of the bulls as being red. So, and for those of you wondering, well, it said it was red as in the color of blood. So how do we know that this is indeed Shem? Well, there's 2 reds. There's ruddy red and then there's blood red as in dark red, maroon red, and it could also be described as being soil red, which is what this logo here is pointing out. Soil red, blood red. There you have the connections. And the other type of red is ruddy red, meaning you go from one color to another. You turn red. That is the color of Esau. So it's not to be confused with the descendants of Esau. Remember, Esau in Genesis chapter 25 is described as being red also, but he was hairy. His type of red was he turned red. He went from light complexion to red, like when you blush or what have you, when you're mad, that type of red. You go from one color to another. This is just one color straight. Red skin, soil red. Esau was also described as being hairy. So we know that the Indians are not hairy people. They are smooth-skinned people. Esau was ruddy and hairy. And it's not hard to identify who his descendants are if you put 1 and 2 together. But I'm going to save that for another video where I could focus on identifying Esau and his descendants. But for now, I want to make that distinction clear. So let's go back. Take a look at some more logos. Here's a good one. Here we have a few American sports teams. Here we have the Kansas City Chiefs logo. It's an American football team. Here you can see the spear. And next to it is the baseball team, the Atlanta Braves. And their logo is a tomahawk. Below that you have the Cleveland Indians. Next to it, I'm not sure what sports team that is, but below it you have the Washington Redskins, the American football team from the state of DC, Washington. And again, it's a giveaway. Here it says Redskins. Get it? Redskins. Meaning they are red-skinned colored people. And here you have the Indian as their logo. And above it you have that baseball team from Cleveland, the Indians. And as you can see, all these logos have red in them. Type of dark red, blood red. So this is the color that is being described in chapter 89 and verse 9 of the first book of Enoch. That's the color red, blood red, not Esau's ruddy red. Because for those of you confusing Esau's descendants with the Shemites, remember Esau is hairy. Native Americans or Indians are smooth-skinned people. So that's how you could distinguish both. These are soil red. And I'm not sure what language, but the word Adam means man. And it could also be translated in a different language as mud. So this is soil red as well as blood red. So we know that Shem is not a different type of Ham. For those of you that are still confused about the whole thing, this is clear proof that they're not one and the same with different names. No, you have Ham, who is the black bull. You have Shem, who is the red bull. And obviously, the only one that's left is the white bull, and we know that that happens to be none other than Japheth. So they know who Shem's descendants are. And not only that, but Shem's line goes all the way back to the first Adam. Remember, Adam was made out of dust. Again, here the Indian in the Washington Redskins logo has color or a complexion that resembles the dust of the ground. It could also resemble blood because it's red. It is from red soil. So Adam's line goes all the way down to Shem. And Shem's descendants are the main root for what would become known as the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, I'm not saying that all 12 tribes look like Indians, because they don't. Remember, Ham, Shem, and Japheth intermarried with one another. So it was allowed by God, since they were brothers, but they weren't allowed to marry outside of themselves. They were not allowed to marry the heathen nations, like the Canaanites, the Kenites, and the Edomites. Well, actually, I'm not sure about the Edomites. I'm not going to say that they weren't allowed to marry Esau's descendants, but they weren't allowed to follow their ways. Now, the 12 tribes consist of all three brothers, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Obviously, the 12 tribes came from Shem. and his descendants, but it doesn't mean that you won't find a Shemite that has Japhetic characteristics, or you won't find, just because Shem's people are the root of the 12 tribes of Israel, doesn't mean you will not find an Israelite that has Japhetic characteristics, because again, they're married with one another. So you will likely find an Israelite that has Hamitic features. So the 12 tribes, you'll find people that look Hamitic, Indian, and Japhetic. You have Indians that have Japhetic features, and you have Israelites that have Hamitic features. That's because they're all one family, although they are three separate races. And they all sprang from Noah, who was the first white man in the Adamic line. So that's pretty interesting, pretty crazy, and fascinating at the same time. That from one type of man sprung three different races. And we know that from Shem and his line also sprang the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, and Esau, the Edomites, or what we call today the Europeans. So it's pretty fascinating. Our Heavenly Father has his own way about doing certain things, and as you can see, God is not limited to anything. He is allowed to do things that we consider, mind-blowing. Like, wow, how can all these races sprang from Noah, who was a white man? But it is very much true. So just want to clear up that mess in regards to who is Shem. Shem is the forefather of the Indians. And Shem's line goes all the way back to the first Adam. So they're all connected. And also it goes all the way down to the 12 tribes of Israel, but it doesn't mean they're exclusive to the Indians. You have Israelites that look Hamitic, Japhetic, and Indian, and they all share same features with one another. So the more time went on, the less they looked like their original race. So, so I wouldn't go by book cover, as they say. Don't judge a book by its cover. You got to look at the spirit. Just because somebody says they're so from this race, it doesn't matter. Without Christ, it doesn't matter what color you are. Without Christ, if you haven't accepted him, he hasn't gathered you into his own, then it doesn't mean anything. But I just thought I'd make this quick video and do a quick little history lesson on Shem, because there's a lot of people out there confused and try to associate certain races with Shem simply because they don't fall under a certain category. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.